hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I am just typing to my son's school quickly if you hear me typing in the background. Hi, everyone. It's coming on right now. You know what I'd love you to do while we're waiting for everyone? If in the chat, you can, let me just make my thing bigger. If you could each put in there what what's going on, whether it's a word, maybe your negative voice has been saying something, maybe you have some positive news to share. Is there anything at all that like you're walking into today with a feeling of X, or X happened and that's exciting, or Y happened and I really need some clarity on that? Or just your intention of being present today, coming in, wanting to learn, or whatever it might be. I could start. So as you're coming in, everyone, hi, Charisse, we just want everyone to put in the chat. Maybe
Hello.
it's something that you're feeling, thinking, negative, positive, anything that's coming to mind right now about this journey. Jillian said it's a busy day, but I'm excited for the session. Thank you, Jillian. I know the interesting thing about the sessions, my saboteur, Stella said, coming in nervous as graduation gets closer, but want to get some steps going to feel more on top of the job search. Beautiful. My saboteur is saying to me always, I like to have like a very immersive learning experience. And for some reason, when I teach classes like this, it's much more me like talking at you. So just know that I'm aware that sometimes it could feel a little, it just goes on, but I promise you that it will be of service to you as you look forward. Samaya, am I saying your name right?
It's actually Samiha.
Samiha, thank you I appreciate that. You've been feeling burnt out for months now at work, and today it's more intense. If you want to share more, I'm here to listen. We could take the first few minutes to just dive in. If it's uncomfortable, I get it. But if you do, I'm here as a coach.
Yeah. I don't know. I've just been feeling a little burnt out for a few months now. I've been also putting in like longer hours, and of course, like since classes started, it's been getting a little harder to like balance both. But I feel like, sometimes um being one of like the junior, more of like a junior person at like my job, it's a little harder to manage expectations from people a bit more senior than me, and like having to take like feedback and like just knowing when to push back on that feedback has been difficult. And then like also not being able to, I guess, um I don't know how to describe it, but like sometimes like not knowing when you can push back on like the feedback they're giving you, and not also being able to give them feedback as someone who's like a manager or like a leader in the team. So it's kind of like a rock and a hard place, because like I feel like I'm pushed into a situation where no matter what I do, it's just not good enough. And recently I've been thinking about switching jobs. Like I feel like I've spent too long at this position, and
Mhm.
I just don't feel like working here anymore.
Okay. Here's there's a couple of things I'm going to want you to think about, but one of them is just as a reminder to everyone that I'm here, that you have coaching sessions, that you could utilize them, that you could give me a call and we should schedule them. And Samiha, one thing to think about is as a little bit of an exercise. First of all, I'm sorry that you're going through that. I think that, the burnt out, but also the feeling like you know, you're getting feedback, but you're in a position that feeling like every leader gets to give you feedback, but where's the feedback for them, right? When do we get to tell them that they could do a better job at giving me feedback, right? Or where are the leaders that say something like, you know, we haven't really talked about this before. How do you like to get feedback, Smiha? Like what's a way that you will be able to hear it, right? We don't have that kind of consistency across leadership, right? It's a rare thing. And so it's about you finding your way and navigating that. And I know that I'm hearing you right now saying it's like, I want to throw my hands up, and it might not be the right place anymore, but it might be if you learn to navigate it differently, and just know that I'm here for you, and we all heard you. And I'd love for you today at some point to write down the things that you're taking away from your job, the things that you've learned, the positive things, right? And the experience that you've taken away. And that's going to be stuff that we'll be able to plug in, right? And part of what you're learning is how to navigate corporate America, right? It's a very unique and difficult thing. And so thank you for sharing. And I'm here for you when you're ready. Okay. So we say, sometimes I feel some doubts about my future career as a creative, and today I'm feeling optimistic. What is making you feel optimistic, or do you mind sharing?
Yeah. Um, First of all, the fact that like we have this coaching career, so I am looking forward to hear more how to navigate the industry, especially like as a grad student. Because I am trying to get into an agency because I've been mostly with nonprofit and CUNY,
Right.
mainly. And we also have like this event today with Nancy.
Yes.
So I'm feeling optimistic of getting to know people and, you know, hearing more from the older people and the grads that have been in the program and how they navigate the way.
So let's,
I
is
know
there,
it's a lot.
no, it's not a lot, actually. It's great that you asked it, because Rebecca and I were sort of hoping that you would be asking about that. So that's a great question. And I would love to just share, even if it's like 3 to 5 minutes, okay, and go over. You're going to be who's going to this event tonight? Can you all just put your thumbs up on your, like you raise your hand on your thing? One, two, three, four, five, six of seven. Okay. Eight. Okay. So you took that
Actually, I
10.
think there's more.
10. I
Yeah,
got
here we
10
go.
about, yeah, okay.
Pretty
So
sure almost everyone is going.
so the extroverts, if you're an extrovert, keep your hand raised.
I feel like it depends on the situation.
Okay, so Tony is an extrovert. Tony, what's your strategy when you walk in to this thing?
Smile and say hi.
And what I want you to think about is I feel like my daughter, I'm just chewing gum today. I'm so sorry. There's something I need, like, I don't know, texture. So smile, right, is inviting to people. You're going to have leaders that are going to be going there to be respectful and say hello, and they're going to be introverts in the room, right? So you might be a really friendly, warm face, and people are going to want to be helpful. And Charisse, you're telling yourself a story, and you're going to set yourself up. So we'll talk about that in a second. But what I want, Tony, one of the things I want to ask you is, what does success look like when you walk out of that meeting?
Out of meeting someone today.
No, when you walk, what does success look like for you at the end of that, congratulatory to Nancy, but also the opportunity to meet people? What are you hoping to, like, you leave the place, and this is to all of you, you leave, what is the thing that you walked away with, like, I'm so glad X, or that went well because of Y? Like, what's the thing that you really hope to achieve? What would success look like when you go home?
I think for me, being present is the most important thing, especially whenever it comes to networking events, because I know there's so many different strategies. It could be, oh, I need to meet X number of people, or I need to make sure I meet this specific person. I think for me, whenever I've gone networking, it's being present with who I am at the moment that I am, because you never really know who you're going to meet and what that leads to. Like sometimes it's only meeting one person and then that one meeting changes your life as opposed to quantity. So I think for me, it's more quality and yeah, being present and not being like, oh, I should be here or be there somewhere else. Is being in that moment.
Being in that moment. Anyone else have anything else to add before I say something? So I want to say something to Sharice. I'm calling you out. I hate networking. And we talked about this last week. It's about building relationships. If you were in a new country and you had no friends, right? And you really were feeling a little lonely, right? You would want to build relationships. It would feel a little more authentic. You'd be trying to like, it wouldn't feel so salesy, right? It wouldn't feel, whatever networking, when you think of networking, what's the word that comes to mind?
Network.
But what's the word behind it? Like, what's the negative about it?
Mm,
Schmoozing. What is schmoozing?
Yeah.
What does that say?
It's like you're just trying to talk to someone just to be able to see what you can get from them instead
Okay.
of
It
building.
feels like a sales pitch, right? That's what it's like. It's like a sales pitch. And so when you're all walking into this, I want you to think about being your most authentic self. And so for me, what I think I don't want you to say that you're terrible at it, right? I think another word is it makes me uncomfortable, right? It
Mhm.
feels inauthentic for me, right? And so if you think about what Tony said, he said he's just going to go in and he's going to smile, right? And by the way, I'm staring at your picture and you got a great smile too. So what I would suggest is just going in there with an intention. So when you all walk in, what do you want your intention to be? I'm going to give you a minute and I want you to put in the chat what you would like to have as your intention for the day, right? So my intention, I'm not able to go tonight, but my intention to be with you today is to show up as my most authentic self and give you the best of my knowledge as I possibly can give. So go ahead and write. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 responses I'm waiting for. An intention. It could be a word. It could be authentic. It could be patient. It could be self-kindness, right? Confident and enthusiastic. Bond. Be present and curious. Oh, apparently my computer liked that one. Fully present. To be myself and connect genuinely. Authentic. Share my excitement for creativity and learn. My intention is to get personal so people can remember me. Be present and authentic. Be genuine and authentic. Flex a little. Do we have everyone? I feel like we're missing a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Present. I think we need 2 more, 1 or 2 more. If you haven't done it, don't just first thing that comes to mind. I want to walk in there and my intention is to step outside my comfort zone and make a genuine connection. Right, Jillian, it could just be one great connection, honestly. And then that person might know 5 other people there or 10 other people there. And then it's about what happens next. And we'll talk about that to foster long-lasting, genuine connections going forward. Okay. I think you all went, but if you haven't, so here's what I want to say. I want each of you to write down on a piece of paper on your computer what you wrote in the chat. And I know that it might sound hokey to some or not, and you could change it as you go, but before you walk into that meeting today, or well, it's not a meeting, it's to have a good time. Find also if you have like a wing person that you could feel comfortable being with, right? Because some of you might need to do it in pairs, and that's okay, or triplets, or however you want to go about. Remember, listen, right? And if you're somebody who normally talks a lot because you get nervous like me, like breathe before you walk in and think about, I want you to envision what success looks like. So when we're done with this session, or at some point before today is over, here's advice. Write down on a piece of paper, manifest what you want to come out of that, right? So for me, it would be, this meeting brings me X amount of connections that lead me to the role that will bring me joy. Whatever it might be, write it down. This meeting is going to build my relationships up so that I can gain more confidence, right? Say what it's going to do. Put it out there. If we say things like, I'm terrible at networking, we're going to walk in the room feeling crappy. But you could use it a little bit. Like sometimes self-deprecating can be interesting. It's a good segue into a conversation. I just don't want you to do it so much. Like if you meet somebody, be like, oh, thank you. I'm so glad I had an opportunity to meet you. I was nervous considering, that we're the grads, and you made this made me feel less uncomfortable. You really allowed me. So think about something like that. Okay. Anybody have anything else before I ask you some questions about your homework? Don't be shy. Okay. And you could ask me things at the end. You could stay on with me and I'll give you some more advice about the meeting if you want to. I would love to know if you did the work that was sent to you. And if you did you hone in on the clients and the places or brands that you're interested in working for, or that feel like that if you met with them, you'd be able to really kind of like connect and sync? It doesn't mean all the jobs you apply for, like there's jobs I've applied to in my life where I'm like, I don't even know what they do. I'm just like, they need this, right? I want you to get closer connected to that and create that top list. So did anyone do it? And if they did, can they tell me what it was like or what they kind of came up with? I just need one of you.
I did it. So what was interesting to me, so I'm creative art direction. So what I was finding with I kind of went through my LinkedIn and thought of the companies that I like seeing and that I follow. So like Mischief, 72 and Sunny, Giant Spoon, like all these very, popular creative agencies. And then as I was going through, like I have it on the Excel, and it's interesting because a lot of them say kind of vaguely the same thing of like, we want to be disruptive, we want to make a stir, we want to make us like stand out, make campaigns that are different, which is fine, and I like that. But I found one that I didn't even know existed, but just deep diving looked at it, and they're more about like, they're literally called The Community, and they
Yeah.
are like really family oriented, and I thought that was interesting seeing how that one like kind of popped out as different, but
Yeah.
something I also would value. So I thought that was cool. Like seeing it all laid out has really been helpful.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad. And you have me. When you're ready, you can all schedule some sessions. You get 30-minute, I don't remember if it's 1 or 2. You get some sessions with me and we can go through any specific things. And I want you to think about the unexpected too. And when you see a company you like, see if it's owned by a holding company too. Okay. Anyone else before we move on? All of this is going to help you feel more prepared for that day when you're ready to like send it out. All right. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. Now, if you have a question, instead of using the chat, because I won't be able to see it, please raise your hand. All right. Why is this giving me a problem? Hold on a second. Stay with me, please. Oh, this stupid screen. Sorry, everyone. It's giving me a problem. Okay, can you see this?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, now bear with me because it's not doing what I want it to be doing. Okay, just ignore. It's okay that you're seeing it. Just ignore my screen, please. Now, when I show this to you, right? Just let me know. Okay, everybody good?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
So, we're gonna talk about the collecting part of the process, resume basics, and LinkedIn best practices. Okay. And just hold on one sec. If anybody has any questions or needs to get water or anything, now is the time. Because my computer is not working as well and is not set up because I had all your other stuff up and running. And by the way, you guys are going to do amazing. You're all going to do amazing. Okay? Because you want this. And that's what's going to help you. Just honestly be yourself. Because if you're yourself, then you don't have to worry about being someone else when they hire you. Okay? All right. Thank you for being so patient with me today. All right, I gotta figure out. I have two screens open. I'm like, I'm like 98 years old right now. Let's see if it works. Did it work? It did, right? But then how do you get back?
Maybe the arrow, up and down arrow.
Where do you see it though? Oh, I
Oh,
am.
your keyboard.
See,
Your keyboard.
I
yeah.
am doing the up. I'm doing the back. Hold on. You got this is what happens when you leave New York City
yeah.
and you buy a new house. And you're like, oh, I see it. I saw it down there. It's not. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. Here it is. Okay. All right, we figured it out. Okay. I see what I have going on, and I'm gonna figure it. Okay, so before we dive in to the content of your resume on LinkedIn, you want to kind of figure out where you are in your process. So we have to collect words and language that may feel like they define who you are. It helps to build out your resume and you're sifting through, right? So what's the language for a creative? What's the language for a strategist? What's all these different kinds of things that help you to determine how you want to present yourself. Okay. So I want you to think, there's going to be a way for you to go through job descriptions that will help you figure out what it is that you do. Does everyone follow me? Just a thumbs up if you follow me. Okay. So you go on LinkedIn, all right, and you basically will do a search for, let's say, a junior art director, and you look up jobs that you find, right? If you're a strategist or account or whatever area you're in. And then what you're going to do is you're going to highlight the parts of those descriptions that resonate with who you are and your capabilities. It will help you kind of define and outline your saying something that maybe you wouldn't have thought of it that way, right? But you're capturing how the different companies are trying to get people with your skill set. So things you've done and have skills in, right? If you've done it, you're like, yep, that's me. Okay. Tasks or skills, the language they use is going to be different maybe than the language you use, right? They may say, you might say, conceptual, like you might not think to say the word conceptual, or you might not think to say that you've led a team, because some of you've maybe been in business already for a while, right? If you're in, how many are in strategy versus creative and media, right? There's a lot in media too. Could somebody just say yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. And what would be a media job you'd be looking to get?
In my case, I like programmatic and activation. I like
Okay.
doing programmatic and activation, so that's what I'm
And
looking.
have you done that yet in a career or no?
I did it in my internship last summer.
Okay,
And
perfect.
I
So
thought
your
I like it.
internship is going to, you're going to come up with, you're going to look into also into Google search, right? And you're going to say to yourself, okay, what are the ways that programmatic talent, like for example, just going to give you an example. I'm using your example, which is why I'm typing, right? First of all, junior programmatic, they say starts at 60K, which is, I would never have thought about that. Okay. So, hold on one second. The other things they're going to be looking for when you look down at like skills and I don't like the word soft skills, but when you look at that, I want you to think about self-starter, collaborative, but able to be independent, right? Things like that. And you're going to send me your resume and I'm going to look at it if you want it. Okay. So don't concern yourself with that. But I just want you to know that that's the kind of stuff. If you look at the other jobs that are out there right now, it will be the research you need. Okay. And I want you to think of descriptive words that will help you stand out. But the reason you want to look at the job description is because we have there's a recruiter section on LinkedIn. So we get to see and plug in like 9 million different words. I could plug in fast food. I could plug in programmatic for the fashion industry. I can plug in all of this stuff. So you want to make sure that the language that companies are looking for is the language that you're utilizing if it's what you've done and your capabilities. Okay. So if you see 5 different roles for a programmatic or a creative, and you see that there's a trend and they're all saying something you've done or something you can do, obviously, then that's something you really want to make sure that you plug in. Okay. So for example, here, just give me one sec. Today's a little back and forth. Thank you for being so patient, everyone. So this person highlighted experience and skills like corporate learning and writing and design, but also words like education and storytelling that may be more about like their value and their passion, right? So you want to incorporate the things that we really want them to see, right? But we also, like they're saying, for example, they want someone who thrives at the intersection of education, storytelling, design, and technology, right? But they also want to see somebody who to your point earlier about, Tony, about staying curious, was it you who said being curious or was it someone else?
Yes, that was me.
Yeah, so like this person is going to enable us to bring our existing offers and capabilities to the next level. Well, to me, if I were putting in my resume, remaining curious to enable a company to offer capabilities beyond the obvious, whatever it might be, but you're going to utilize these examples to help you figure out what it is that you are going after. Okay. So the next thing that you want to do, does anybody have any questions so far? I always find the resume one a little bit like, eh. Okay. This is, oh, hold on. This is called the Pesci test. I always forget how to say it. PC test, Pesci test, say it wrong. And it helps you, it's an exercise in breaking down our strengths and our abilities. So what do I do every day? What are the things that I resonate with? What brings me joy, right? And as this says, the sweet spot is to highlight our strengths in what we're passionate about and excellent at. Alicia, question?
Meeting. Oh, really?
Oh, hold on. Alicia, can you mute when you get a chance? Okay, does anybody have questions about this one? It's self-explanatory, but it will help you when you see something, that you're passionate and excellent at, right? I could do this well and get the job done, but it's not my type strength. That's competent. And then the incompetent, or when I say incompetent, meaning like I don't want to do it or it's just not my strength. Those are the things that you want to stay away from in a job, right? You don't want to list them in your resume if you don't want to do them. If it's something that's definitely a part of your skill set and you have to do it to do the thing you love, that's one thing. But I do want to know if anyone has questions here, because this is a journey that I really want you to do. And I want to know what you're taking away from it or what you think about it. Anyone? Do you find this is something that would be helpful or you don't want to do it?
I think that it would be helpful. I have a question about the passionate part because I see the examples are like dancing, but also some are professional too. So I was just wondering, like, if you're trying to say, like, should your hobbies be incorporated in this search as well?
Oh, I think it's beautiful that you asked that question. You know what? Nobody's ever asked it in all the years. And my first thing,
Silly question.
what'd you say?
But I don't know if that's a silly question or
It's
not.
not. First of all, there's never a silly question. You just made me think, right? And you asked me something that's really important about how the generations that are coming up right now into the workforce are thinking about what matters to them, right? So I think you could put it in there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. Maybe what it will make you think of is that maybe you want to look at, are there roles at the ballet or the opera house or you know what I mean? It might draw you to think. I would never have thought of that. It could be not just for the sake of the resume, but to help you to remember, we said collect information, not just to define who we are, but also what do we want to do?
Right,
Right.
exactly.
So nobody asked that, but that doesn't mean that's not a good, I'll tell you right now, the woman who I put this together with, who came up with she didn't come up with the Pesci test, but this is the thing she put in here. She is a sound bowl healer. She was a designer turned recruiter turned coach. And she does like all this like interesting dance and body movement to like heal herself. And, around trauma and things like that. And I have to say, like, that's a great thing because that might make you get closer to the category you want. Might not happen right away, but if you did this, hi Arlene, if you did this every year, right, you might get closer to it. Anyone have any other questions? Okay. So you want to be able to stay really connected to your story and who your audience is, right? So the basics of who I am, right? The title, let's say art director, you were saying earlier, right? Which is, so it might be art director, junior art director is a discipline, the years of experience, the areas of specialty, those strengths, the skills, the values, and what makes you unique, right? And then you have that audience that you're going to be reaching out to, right? The person, the company, whatever that might look like, right? Maybe it's a holding company and there's 110,000 people there, or it's 35,000 because it's an ad agency that has now consolidated 18 different companies, right? And then you figure out the middle, the sweet spot, your personal brand is like who I am and who I want to connect with, right? So let's say I'm an art director and my strengths are heavily rooted in design, right? And I really value purpose-driven work. Well, my audience, right? What's that audience that I'm reaching out to? Are they where I like, you know what I mean? That might be Oberland, the agency that most of their work is purpose driven, right? And so you want to really make sure that the audience and who I am comes together, because otherwise what will happen is you're not going to like your job. And I don't want you to think that you have to take a job for the sake of taking a job. That is not at all. I don't want that mentality in you. I don't want you to think that way. I really want you, yes, that might happen in your career, but I want you to think about to get to close to what you motivates you, the things you value, and your role to the company that, whether it's the category, the person, something, as much as possible, a mid-size agency that feels like a family, that doesn't just say what everyone else is saying, you know, like that kind of thing. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So I'm curious, right? If you could do me a favor in the chat, can you just put in some, you know, like throw in some buzzwords, like think about, my key language would be empathic, collaborative, and um I like to guide, but I like to learn, right? My old business partner would say we get lost in buzzwords, right? And so part of it is like pick one and what does it mean to you, right? It could be fun. It could be that you're a multitasker. It could be that you're a juggler, right? You manage social media really well, right? You manage teams' motivation. If you're conceptual and that's too vague, you could say, I think in a 360 mindset, right? I am integrated. I see omni-channel everywhere. Used to be 360, then it was integrated, and now it's omni-channel. Does anybody have anything they want to throw out? Somebody raise their hand and throw something out. Somebody could do it. Not letting you off the hook. Think of a word that you would normally say, and then think of another way to say it. For example, right? If you're using a buzzword, right, especially when we think about SEO, we want to think of things that people might plug in or be looking for, right? So you have to get really nitty-gritty and specific. So example, I have created real-time social content while motivating my team to stay focused, positive, and poised under pressure. And if it's not your team, you could say, I've created real-time social content while motivating my colleagues or collaborating with my team to stay focused, positive, and poised under pressure. All right. Is this helpful? Thumbs up. Was it do you feel like you need a little more time on it?
I have a question. I
Yes,
feel like I'm
please.
kind of struggling with like, I don't know, always thinking of like creative, like that's a strength that I have, but then I don't know how to make that more different than just saying I'm a creative person. I feel like that's so broad. So I don't know
So
if you
what do creative people like? What do you think about them? When you think of someone creative, what is it about them that you, not just yourself, but other people?
I don't know. I think of like different solution, like creative people think of different solutions to things. In like other ways, they're art driven, maybe. I don't know.
So here's what I'd say. When I think of creative people, I consider myself a creative person. I think that I'll tell you, I have my daughter and my son. This might help everyone with this buzzword thing. My daughter and my son, I hate how we like categorize our kids, but we do. And it's unfortunate, but it's not a bad thing when I explain it to you and not to them. My son is very academic. Like it's not that he's all A's, but he could just like, I don't need to like follow him along with his homework. He's just going to get it right, right? He's going to get B's.
Mhm.
He'll get some A's, he'll get B's. If he really studies, he'll get A's. My daughter has to really freaking pound the pavement for a B, okay, or a B plus or a B minus or whatever it is. But if you want to know who I want on the streets of Manhattan with me as we're navigating and trying to come up with like, maybe we're gonna like come up with a poem while we're walking, just so that we're not scared because we ended up in a like, I don't know, in an alleyway somewhere down in like Mott Street. Like she's the person. Now, it's not to say my son's not funny because he is, and he's really clever, but she's sharp and she's witty and she's innovative and she's quick on the spot, right?
Mm.
So, what I'm thinking of a creative person, there's innovation. And that's not to say other people aren't innovative, right? But creativity can come from wizards also. But when I think of creativity, I think of laughter. I think of all different kinds of things. It may not be what you see as creative, but what makes you creative? That's the question. Not that I'm creative. What makes me creative?
Mm.
Right? That curious word that Tony said earlier is a big one, right? Remain curious. When you think about it, you're not stopping at the obvious. You're looking for the unexpected, right? I'm giving you a few buzzwords because those are mine, right? Quality over quantity, things like that, right? Try to identify who you are beyond the obvious. I'm a creative. No. Okay. So tell me, if you're thinking about dance, for example, right? The way that someone might say the flow of the dress as she jumps in the air, her toes touch the floor, uh, her toes touch the floor, the pitter pat gone by. You could just think about an extension. So say the word creative, then say the
Mm.
next word that comes to mind,
Mm.
then say the next word. Okay.
Right.
I hope that was somewhat
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, that is very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. And for media people it's the same exact thing because you might be a very creative person regardless of being an art director or not, or a writer or not. You might be creative and that might be your thing, that you are you're a dichotomy of sorts, right? You're a dual person. You're not just a creative in the sense of you could have creatives who become strategists, right? You have creative strategists, right? You have media people that are the way they think. Where are we placing this media? What's the type of consumer that's going to like it, right? Are you interested in the psychology of it? What makes you unique and different, right? Because you could have a strategist or a media buyer, right? Who may just be exactly what they need to be, and that's beautiful. But maybe you also bring something a little bit different and you're a little unexpected because you also like to think about the psychology of where consumers look for things, right? What time are they really going to be watching that, right? Something, if that makes any sense. I hope I hope I'm making sense right now. Okay. So the resume, the content for LinkedIn. All right. So hold on one second. So you want to make sure that it's about the information. It should be clean and it should be just very, very like bullet point, nothing outrageous, but that it's, and then the tenses are correct too, by the way. All right. You could use Canva or Etsy as examples. Okay. And I'm going to go move through them and I'll show you in a second. You could limit graphics or unusual layouts, let them get in and get out. Okay. But remember, think about those words that they're using in the job that you're applying to. You could create a resume specifically for a job you're applying to and make sure that you're not copying their language. But if you've done what they're asking for, find another way to say it. Okay. So let me just show you. Any questions so far? So this is, oh, Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question when it comes to AI and how AI kind of like changes the game with this. And I say that because whenever I was applying to jobs like last year and the year before, I noticed that a lot of companies would run my resume through an AI, and if I didn't, like use the exact words that were on the job description, or if there wasn't, let's say, like a 75% match, it didn't work out for my favor. So what's your advice when it comes to doing this, and how do you see AI playing a role in
Yeah,
the
it's a good
recruitment
question.
process?
'Cause I've been using AI with my friends lately for their resumes. And I think that AI is very helpful with it because so I'll give you an example. Earlier, I had my friend, let me see if I could pull it up without, it's probably back there. I can't do it. Hold on. So she punched in what she had on her resume and I wrote, take this information. What you could do is you take what you have for yours, right? So you'd say in ChatGPT, you'd say, take this information about the job and then take this, which is on my resume, and create bullet points to reflect the authenticity of what I do, whatever it may be. And I'll work with you on it when I meet you, but it does come out better. So that's why I'm saying to you, if you look at the job posting and if it gets crazy and you just one day you're like, I don't want to change my resume, that's fine. Okay. But you could just make sure, is there something specific about this job that I want to add? Right. Are they saying a buzzword? Are they using certain language? Right. Are they using the word health, are they using the word healthcare? Are they using the certain categories, certain industries, certain skills, right? Are they looking for words like broad scale, like she has in here? They're not going to say that, but let's say you were talent acquisition. Are they looking for heavy volume recruiting, right? So look at the resume. Look at the job description. You could plug that in and your resume into LinkedIn and into ChatGPT, and you could use AI to make sure that there's no inauthenticity, no plagiarism per se, but so that it still stays connected to yours. But all you're really saying is what I said before, right? Use the language that they're using as long as you've done it. Is that it? Because you're really just asking that, right? If they're going to put it through a thing to match up with the job, right?
Exactly, yeah. And usually it has to match a certain percentage. So if your resume matches, let's say 80% of the job, they're like, okay, this kind of this person can do this job and they can move forward in the process.
Yeah, so just use the job descriptions to your advantage as long as you're authentic. You're not saying something you haven't done. Word it, if you could kind of figure out which of those words, right, that they're going to want to see, right? They might want, if you're in media, there's going to be certain words. If you're in creative, there's going to be certain words. Produced, or the category, or the this or the that. People who are managing, have you managed, right? Have you conceptualized, things like that. Okay. So yes, use AI without plagiarizing, and use the job descriptions to help you get to what you need to get to. Now, and at the bottom, like, listen, if they list certain skills, have those skills there. Okay. Tell me if they say, if they're saying they're looking for a 26% are masters people that have applied, and you have a master's, obviously, you'd say, oh, okay, maybe I should write, instead of Hillary writing an MSW, I should write Masters of Social Work. Okay. Amina.
Hi, thank you for this session. The question I had is the places that I've worked or work, they always filter your resume based on the position that you are applying for. So you kind of have to tailor each application to the job description and the competencies that they're looking for. And I just wanted to hear your views on that.
So I feel like it's the same question. Is it asking the same thing he just sort of did in a way, or was there an extension of what he asked?
I think it's an extension because he asked, so here maybe you've said it, but I feel like you've said like you're building a resume to apply for, is it a specific job or
Well,
every time you're
so here's the
working?
thing. You're going to build your main one, right?
Mhm.
That's going to signify, like I was saying, when you start to think about building out your resume, you'll just build it. Don't think too much about it. Build it. Put down what the obvious is, right? Get the chunks in. Get your contacts in. Get your education in. Get your accolades, however they put it, your key achievements, your certifications, whatever that might be. Okay. Then you're going to think about, you could even use AI to research what it is that junior media buyers or junior art directors are currently doing, right? Like, how are they listing in their resume? So for example, let me just give you an example, because I've just been doing this all day with people, and I might as well just, you guys, hold on one second.
Sorry if I didn't rephrase. Well, what I meant is for each job that you're applying for.
Yes, I know. So you're going to create your main one. And then should you be very interested in a specific job, you might, if you have the time, look at your resume, look at the job description and say, okay, I've done, and it might be a great thing because it behooves you to do it, because then you look at the job description and you're like, wait, I've done that. It's not even in my resume. So you're catering it based on authenticity, right? If the job description, tell me what your track you're in again.
Oh, PR.
PR. So what would be a title that you would want? What kind of job would you want?
I haven't really thought about that.
Would it be, what would be the level? What would be?
I will say, I currently work in communications in the strategic division. And, at times, the reason why I really took this is we work a lot in crisis communications.
Mm-hmm.
So the titles that we have are more like public relations officer.
Okay. And if you had to pick one brand or one industry, what industry do you want to work in? Do you want to be in advertising, entertainment? Where do you want to be?
I'm in non-for-profit, and that's probably where I'm more interested in.
Okay, so hold on one second. So for example, all I did was put in ChatGPT. Oh my God, it like gave me so many things. I put in communications junior level, not saying you're junior, but at an agency with resume, I wrote non-for-profit bullets. It said assisted in developing and executing comprehensive communication strategies to increase the awareness of the organization's missions and programs. drafted engaging content for various platforms, including social media, newsletter, website, and press releases to effectively communicate the organization's impact and initiatives. You hear the word impact and mission, right? I think non-for-profit, right? They say supported the planning and coordination of events, including fundraisers and community outreach programs to promote the organization's objectives and increase community involvement. Now, are any of those things you've done ever?
Yes. I love
Okay,
it.
so I'm telling you, use it, but then change the language a bit. And then look at the job description and see if there's something missing in your resume that you've done. So per job, if you want to. But I took my friends and I was like, listen, your thing sounds very basic. Like you need to zhuzh it up a bit. And she put it in ChatGPT, and the things that she did were more sophisticated sounding. It was very, it didn't have presence. I want you all to have presence in your resume, right? And so to answer that, you could choose to do it per job, or you don't have to. It's really up to you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. It's personal. I mean, I can't tell you all what to do and what not to do in that level. Okay, so hold on one second. Any other questions before and anybody has any other for ChatGPT, I'm happy to do an example. If you have one, now's the time, raise your hand. Okay, so you saw these resumes that were up here. You could go on to Etsy or you can go on to Canva. Okay, if you need to get some samples or examples. All right. And it might even I like the ones that have the stuff to the left and the contact you could put up top. The one to the left with the contact, there's too much space used for that contact. You don't need all of that. I like accolades, but I like achievements better. Key achievements, right? They use the word master's degree, Bachelor of Science. They say it all. Skills, going back to the original question and the second question, start compiling a list of skills that you're seeing in the jobs that you want. Okay. Are we good to go? Everybody could just go off mute and just say yes or no.
What about the about me putting together like a sentence of yourself? Is that still relevant or
Yeah, I think that you most certainly could. You don't have to, but you can. I think it's important to just give a sense of who you are. So let's say you have, how many years experience do you have right now?
in the industry or
Just in
just like in
general.
working? I've been at my job for maybe like 6 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what is your title there now?
Well, my official title is college assistant, but I do the graphic design there.
Okay, so and how many years have you done graphic design just in general, freelance or otherwise?
Maybe like 9, I guess. Yeah.
9 years or 9 months?
Years.
I know, right? It's interesting about designers. Designers could be designers for it's so interesting. They feel like they've designed their whole life. And so you could say, stream of consciousness is what I would do, right? But you could just look up examples of, so for example, okay. Hold on one sec. Where do you currently work?
I actually work at Baruch College.
Okay. How long did I type for? 2 seconds?
Yeah,
Right.
maybe. Yeah.
As a seasoned designer with over 5 years of experience, Also serving as a college assistant at Baruch College, I bring a dynamic blend of creativity and expertise to every project I undertake. With a keen eye for detail and a passion for delivering visually captivating solutions, I have consistently contributed to enhancing the college's brand identity and communication strategies. Now, here's the thing. I don't think AI is ever going to replace any creatives. What I think it does well is that when we need to take something very simple and like a bio or a resume or something like that, and you need to, like I say, just like refine it. And it's like, for me, it's like a thesaurus in some way, if that makes sense, Jillian.
Yes, it
You
does.
know, so if we'll give you, all I put in was like designer, looking for a role, need a bio, currently college assistant. So it just gives a basic, like, you know, it's not creative, but it gives you a way to just kind of like, again, I think AI, and this goes back to the question I think that Tony was asking, was like, you could use AI to your benefit as it relates to resume and LinkedIn because they're using AI to scan the resume, right?
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
but as it relates to the about me, just do a stream of consciousness and look up. It's okay for you to do a little like research, just like how do other junior art directors recommend themselves? But also you can make it really interesting, right? You could say
Mhm.
something interesting or just say something really short and sweet. Like, I am here to take my experience and bring my creativity, whatever the word creativity or whatever it is, to blah, 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 blah. And we could go through it. So what you could do this week, if you want, is start to just do your about me section. You could find your resume that you want to use. You could put the skills, the education, the achievements, and then just do the about me or do another section. When I coach people, I tell them just pick one job you want to put in. Don't go nuts. Just like take a minute, breathe. Okay. It doesn't have to be all encompassing. Include clear contact information, name, email, phone. You saw that. Your LinkedIn, your portfolio. Make sure your portfolio is on your LinkedIn. Check grammar and spelling. Those things are big. I had spelling errors. I had grammar errors recently. It was not good. They say use a summary versus an objective. When we did this originally, I say they, me and my partners. It doesn't matter honestly anymore now that because this I did a few years ago. I think that you could change that. Like we've changed a couple things. That thing I left in there. I think that you could just write, you know, seeking, you know, come up with an interesting word. Everyone writes summary or about me. You could start your about me section like, I have 3 cats. We just adopted 2 cats from a shelter and I have 3 cats. It's insane that I have 3 cats. I could keep saying I have 3 cats and I still think it's crazy. So I have 3 cats. My job keeps me away from my 3. Like you could be, if you're in the creative field or, you know, if you're a creative, have fun with it. If you're in the comms field, do a communication thing, right? Write it like you would if you were doing like a comms piece. Stand out, make it different. Does that help?
Yeah. I have a technical question, like in terms of like as your experience in your skills sets increase, in terms of fitting things on the page, because I know like generally they
Yeah.
look for a 1-page resume. So are there any like suggestions you can give to like kind of
know,
yeah.
I don't really like my thing around I don't, let me think for a second. I don't really necessarily have a problem with the 2-pager. See if you can get it into a 1-pager. I don't really care. What do you do? What's your track again? I forget who's talking. I'm sorry.
Oh, creative.
Creative. Jillian, don't worry about it. Nobody's probably looking.
Okay.
You know, they were going quick, right? They were looking at the book and the person. Recruiting for creative as a recruiter for 30 years, it's the hardest thing to recruit for. Because the main thing is not, the resume is important, but it's only important kind of like, okay, does she have Adobe Suite? Does she have this? They're not going to judge you on 2-pagers. You don't need a 2-page resume. There's no reason to have a 2-page resume, and you and I can go through it. Make it a 2-page resume if it needs to be, and then I can go through it with you all and we could look at it. Okay.
Mhm.
I hope that answers that.
Yes.
I have
Okay.
a question, sorry.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't relate, but in terms of like, for example, cover letter, right? Like, how would that be different than what we're writing about, like the about me in the resume? Like, would that be different? Like, is it the same information?
Here's the difference. It's just a snippet. Okay. Now, I used to say I don't need cover letters, but now in order to apply online, you need a cover letter sometimes, right? So if this person, for example, is an art director, what she says is she's originally from Italy. Insightful ideas and great craft to me are like spaghetti and tomato sauce, right? Like she made it interesting. So it's short and sweet, right? She's not giving you so much. And then the cover letter, you could do research on what, like I always use online, right? My online would be with like, what is your track again?
Mine is a creative too.
Okay, right. So let's see. Hear me out. So you can have fun. Are you a writer or an art director?
Art director.
Oh, or it's you. Okay, sorry. So you could do it. You could actually make your cover letter like you could design it. You could have fun with it, right? You could say, I'm conceptual. I'm writing's not my sweet spot, but I could do it. Here's my go at a cover letter. Like you can have some fun with it. You could have a couple. You could have some that are straightforward, but like, for example, hold on. So I Google everything to just to almost to like question myself and make sure I'm on the right page, right? So when I looked it up, it says they're looking for showcase and creativity. Your cover letter is an opportunity to showcase that, right? So what did I just say? Formatting, right? Making sure your personal design is in there, but also not so personalized that they think that's all you do. Okay. Share what got you into the field. What was interesting for you, right? Now she said it's like spaghetti and meatballs, but then she didn't say anything else about that. So she caught my attention, but now in the cover letter, I want to know why. Why is it like spaghetti and meatballs? Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just get interesting with it. It's your opportunity. They might not read it, but just write one and you'll be done with it. You know, maybe in the cover letter, you're going to have to go back in for each job and add like, why? Tell them why. Be unique. Ask yourself every time, is this authentic to who I am? Is this basic or authentic? Some of it's going to be basic and obvious. I want you to sprinkle in that unexpected. You are each unique. You come from different experiences, different backgrounds. You are going to offer them diverse thinking. They need to know that. And I don't care if it's because you like spaghetti and meatballs and you come from Italy, but why? Okay, great. Now tell me why. Okay. She also says she has a passion for magic at the bottom, which I think is so interesting and fascinating, which is a great, like, helps you with your interview, right? So they might just ask you about that. Somebody else was going to say something.
I was just gonna ask one more real quick question. I heard that like for the cover letter lately, it's okay to write like a paragraph. We don't need to actually write a whole page.
No, you don't have to write a whole page, and you write what matters to you. If they ask you for a cover letter, make sure that there's clear, defined things in there, right? Think about it. A couple of sentences about yourself, a couple of sentences about why, a paragraph, like maybe 2 little paragraphs, like what is something interesting about you, right? Like your enthusiasm, your eagerness to learn, your ability for doing like write about why that company is fascinating for you. What is it that intrigues you about it? Give them a reason to think that you really care about getting the job. So if you do it short, fine. I'd rather it's short because I want to get in and get out, right? So make it creative. If you're a writer, write a poem. I don't care. I think that it needs to be unique to you, but make sure you do your homework. That's all. No matter how long or short it is, do your homework. If it's a really corporate place and you're looking into go to Accenture or, you know, Bain or something, you know, one of those consulting firms, then it might need to be different. It's going to need to be a little more corporate, right? Research the person who has a job like yours there. Do they say anything on LinkedIn? Right? You could research and says, what does Accenture usually look for in their junior designers or their designers, whatever level, right? So use the internet for some information, but also make it creative, but remember the industry you're looking at and take a couple of steps back from how deep you go into that, you know, the unexpected. Okay. Because some will need to be just very basic. So here are just some things to think about. 2 to 3 sentences in the first person. That's that summary thing, that quick thing, right? Who you are, your title. I'll give you homework for this stuff. How you add value, top 3 strengths, maybe a career highlight, a key achievement. And then as far as how you're connected with whoever's hiring, right? What passions do you share with this company or kinds of company? So if you know you're connected with someone, and you have to like put together like a little summary up top and you're going to change that per job, you could just add a little bit of like I said, that unique flavor. The seasoning's a little different. And then the experience, again, I'll send you homework. I'm going to go through this one quick because we're shorter for time, but 3 to 4 bullet points per role. You can add clients, client at the end. And then you start with the biggest achievement for each role. And I'll send you examples and I'll show you how to do it. Remember your tenses, like if it was a former job, led versus lead, and things like that. So here's an example, right? Strong action verbs, led a team of 6 to 8 in-house designers along with external designers and design studios towards the design. Now, my thing is they say design too much in this one. So you have to be careful. I want to point out the things that I wouldn't do and point out the things that I would do. Okay. So be careful of identifying a word, saying a word too many times, but drove the look and feel, right? Consulted, directed, managed. And again, look at the job descriptions. If you're changing it per job description, you could change the language a little bit about that. So the education, the skills, the interests, the awards, this is important. Start listing this stuff. Think about when the woman wrote magic, right? I was like fascinated. I wanted to talk to her a little bit. So do you look at your resume? Do I sound like I would want to hire me? Does it sound like I really took the time to do this? I saw a resume of a software engineer today and it was fascinating. And I was like, didn't even know what I would be seeing. Right. And then I was like, oh, I can get deeper with this person. We could say this so that it exemplifies what they're doing in a more, like in a way that makes me want to hear more about what that assignment was, right? What they did. What was that accomplishment like? What was it like to work in non-for-profit? Tell me what you did. Like, is the resume generating questions for the interview? Is it creating a level of curiosity? Check others' LinkedIn profiles who are in the roles. I told you that, but you could always use that. Some of them are going to put it in, some are not. You could look at people who did and look at, sometimes they'll write down what they did 15 years ago. And that will you could go down into their thing. You don't have to look at what they do now to get a sense. There's a tool called ResiMatch. Let me just make sure ResiMatch still does the trick. Hold on. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so check out, I don't know if it costs money, but you could check it out. I think you could it says you could start for free. It could scan your resume against the job description. Okay? Is that helpful? I hope. Any questions so far? Okay. So LinkedIn, we know 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn for new employees. We also have LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a back-end suite that we pay a ton of money to find people. We put in industry, keywords, I mean, you name it, we put it in. How many years of experience is one thing, but also have they worked in fast food, right? Have they designs for non-for-profit? Have they done comms for blah, blah, blah? So it's your resume. I mean, you could just take your resume and plug it in there. That's totally fine to do that. I want you to think about making sure you have does everybody have a customized URL? Like, I don't love mine anymore. It says Hill Black. I wish it was just like Hillary B or something, but does everybody have a customized one?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll take a yes from everyone. Okay, the open to work thing. I think Rebecca brought up a good point. Remember we talked about that flag around your face? Does anybody remember that from last week where it says open to work around your face on the LinkedIn?
Yes, I remember. You said you didn't really like that, right?
I don't love it, but Rebecca brought up a good point to me. Is it depending, and I think I'm going to do like a survey on LinkedIn about this, to flag or not to flag, right? Because if you're coming out of school and your name under your name is going to say master, recent grad of BIC, masters of blah, 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 I think it's totally fine. I just do, because then you're letting everyone know versus only recruiters. And do you all know how to use the tool?
Yes, I only have mine open for recruiters.
Okay. And Sharice,
I
was
don't
there a
know how to
reason?
use it actually.
What'd you say?
I don't know how to use the tool.
Okay. This is a link you could just go into, but let me just see if I can get in. I often I'm either sometimes open or not open because I end up teaching this so much. Hold on one sec. You see this thing under my thing?
Yes.
So share that you're hiring or you showcase your services, right? Hold on, that's not for me. Why is it saying? Hold on. Here, you see this down here, I meant here?
Yeah.
Show details. So you could click here. You share what you're open to. You share the location. I didn't do this all because I wasn't looking, but immediately I'm applying, all of that stuff. And then they give you the directions. You could do it here or here. Okay. If you want everyone on LinkedIn to see you're looking, you'll have that little thing underneath your face. If you don't, and you only want people on LinkedIn, then the company you work at should not be able to see that you're looking.
Okay.
Even their recruiters. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
I have a
Get out of here.
question about that. So I work for a couple small businesses, like doing contracting for them. If they are hiring themselves, like if my boss like posts her own jobs on LinkedIn, does that mean that she's a recruiter and she can see?
She can't, if she works at your company, she shouldn't be able to see.
I guess I'm asking like who can become a LinkedIn recruiter, I guess. Like how
Oh, we pay a lot of money to have something called, I'll show it to you guys. Does everybody have like a hard stop at 2?
I do.
Okay. Are you okay if you're gonna miss a couple of things? I could always send this. Like you'll get the homework and everything. I'll show it to you really quickly. Hold on. Okay. All right, you guys are gonna see something. I don't think I've ever showed people this. All right. I'm gonna show you fast. Okay? You ready?
Ready.
Yeah, ready.
We pay a lot of money for this. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm able to put all of these things in. The industry they're in, where they're currently working, all of that. If your company does not pay to have this, then they do not see it. It is for people who are LinkedIn recruiter, and it's people that have this system. But you can double check, you can email LinkedIn to make sure so that you feel okay about it. But no one at your current company should be able to see that you're looking. And they can only see if you're looking if they have this and they're not at your company. Okay?
Got it. Yeah, so it's not easy to do that at all, really.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So that way they can't, can you see my preventer view or just the main screen?
I just see the slideshow.
Okay. You don't see my presenter view. Okay. So for example, I hope that's helpful. So basically you're safe, but anyone can get around it, but you're safe. Because they'd have to be paying for LinkedIn Recruiter and they'd have to be also at your company and they would not be able to see it.
Right.
So they can't, unless they were like, listen to a friend, do you have LinkedIn Recruiter at your company, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here you have examples basically underneath your headline on your LinkedIn. Let me just give you an example here. Go straight to it. Hold on. We're almost done, everyone. I promise. We did that. All right. Include the title you want to be hired for to optimize for searches. So for example, for my brother, I had him change it, even though he's an executive creative director, I had him put executive creative director, I had him put creative director, writer, freelance. Okay. You're already going to have your title below of what you do. So you don't have to put the title of what you currently are up top, unless you're working somewhere you have no intention of leaving. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have fun with your photos, have a good time, but this just gives you an example. Listen, I know that we crossed off the bottom two. Part of that is we can't see their eyes. And if somebody doesn't have eyes and they're blind, that's one thing. And that's something to think about if they're vision impaired. But if they're not vision impaired, I guess you could say if you're going to apply for corporate, be careful. If you're not applying for corporate jobs, then have a good time and don't even worry about what we crossed off. Okay. Your header visual is an opportunity for you to share something unique. So for my brothers a long time ago, he wrote like 40 words across the screen, you know, where her picture is and where she has the flowers. He wrote like chicken parmesan, Toni Morrison. He's a writer. He wrote Beatrice, Millie, his daughters, Kurt Vonnegut. He wrote everything that he loves, right? Or that gives him joy. It's an opportunity for you to put something there that's going to grab someone's attention. So for Emily, it's fine because she's a coach. But I also think it's an opportunity to just like, if you see mine, right? I want people to know that I really care about people. I'm empathic. I want them to get a sense of who I am. I also like that it's on a skateboard. It shows that I represent the creative industry, right? So it's a little bit of a dual thing. Okay, is that helpful? Any questions on the photo?
I have a question. So recently I changed my background to my cat's photo. Do you
No, I
think
think
that's
it's
an
fine. I think
issue?
people like cats.
Okay.
It's fine. I had one guy, he's a CCO, he's got a picture of him and his kids, and I was like, I should probably just change that. I think maybe more people might respond.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, look at Andrew King on here, right? It's sort of funny, as far as his picture goes. And then the picture behind him, and I can't see the whole thing, but the interesting thing is he's a writer and he has like, you know, he has what's it called game? What is it? Scrabble behind him. So some people might find that really interesting. I'd say have fun with it. Have a good time with it. Make people stop. At every opportunity, make people stop. Okay? The summary could be the same thing as your other stuff that we talked about. It doesn't need to be different. It just needs to catch their attention. It focused that first sentence or two, right? It could be as interesting and make it creative to the point that if you're in media or if you're in PR or create whatever spot you're in, use that every place as an opportunity to snatch their attention. Okay. Any questions? These are thought starters. Again, you'll have the homework that I'll send, but like thinking about why would they hire you? Remember we said to think about things that would invoke questions in your bullet points, right? What do you offer? How do you bring value? What's your highlight reel? And what's your real reel? That's my new thing. Like we all have this highlight reel. I'm finding LinkedIn is becoming the new Instagram. It's like stressing everyone out that they don't have this, they haven't done this. Just be yourself, right? You have a cat. You love your cat. I have 3 cats. I mean, I'm just like, it's crazy. But I bet people love, my dad used to always tell my brother, oh my God, you should put pictures of, you should put commercials, dogs, always saying, put your dog in your commercial ideas. Meanwhile, guess what? Everyone loves to look at dogs and cats. They do. It makes them stop. I know we only have a couple of minutes and I'm almost done. So here it says, tell us her career story while sharing the things that make her unique, right? I'm an art director, illustrator from Italy. She said that, right? But then the fun facts about me was I'm fairly certain that in a past life, I was a monk writing manuscripts for an international agency, probably because I grew up surrounded by ancient monasteries, churches, and castles. Like it's another moment for her, right? This one is, she went to Creative Circus, all of that. My work was recognized by these award shows. That's fine. Very, very, very simple. I like things most people don't know about me. I'm probably the only person in advertising to have a Super Bowl commercial and a photo published in Sports Illustrated, right? Or what about something like, I think I might have seen this or I haven't, but I feel like my kids play this game a lot. Like one of these things is a lie and the others isn't. I'm not telling you to do this, but I think that might be fun. So again, some of these, this one's a little dry, though they're a producer, so it's more about results and production, and things like that. Hold, Sam, I'm on a call. Trizzy's upstairs, go ahead. Sorry, my son just walked in the room. So some of them are gonna be a little bit more basic, and also the more senior you get, right? If you feel like you care deeply about something, right? Then tell them exactly what it is that you do and focus on the things that you want to do the most of. And make sure you add sections for SEO, search engine optimization, at the end of the bio, they're gonna ask you like what you specialize in. Don't put everything, put the things that you feel like most comfortable doing, right? So on mine, certain things, there's 87 endorsements. I can't even like figure out where the skills are. These are the 50 skills. There's too many skills on my thing, right? So talent management, brand development, career counseling, talent booking, talents. You want to put that in. Remember that LinkedIn thing, the recruiter, people are going to put in skills and you're going to want to have it come up. Okay. And you can move it around a little bit. And in our one-on-one, I'll get to this and we'll work on this together. But for example, quickly, I'll just show you. We're almost done. I think that if I go here, I could add, but hold on. If I go here, hold on. Sorry, everybody. I'd also love for everyone to start thinking about people that will give them recommendations. All right. If you don't feel comfortable, we could figure it out. So there's those 3 dots will help you reorder it. So if I want high volume recruiting up top, I just have to drag this guy like that up here. Okay. So you put your, you know, you might have 50 skills, but pin your top 3 up top. Again, getting closer to the thing that you want to do most. And I want you to have at least 2 recommendations. So your homework this week is I want you to ask maybe a professor or someone else that you've worked with in the capacity of what you do. Okay. And just, you could say, listen, I know writing recommendation is something that takes a lot of time. I don't, you know, even if it's 2 sentences, it will really help me on my career journey. And you could ask for it on LinkedIn. Additional important sections we'll talk about. Make sure that you have your volunteer experience, any licenses and certifications, any accomplishments, start joining different groups and things like that. So here are your next steps. I want you to pull 2 to 3 job descriptions that resonate with you and go through it with that highlighting exercise to pull out the words or the language that resonates with you. Okay. And if you like the Pesci test, add to it, fill in the chart, whatever you might do. Those are the 2 things I really want you to focus on. Now, today was a lot of information. I want you to just think about the basics. You don't even have to really look at LinkedIn yet. If you want to do the resume first, and then you could plug it into LinkedIn. And when we have our one-on-ones, we can go through that. So pick one step that feels most relevant to you based upon where you're at. So if you want to ask for recommendations, update your experience section. You could do it through your resume first if you want to. You could write that resume summary. Maybe you just do a stream of consciousness. Maybe you talk to one of your wing people in here who are creatives, and you say, listen, will you help me take this and structure this a little bit better, right? Maybe just update your headline, you know? I've seen people say master's student at designer at and you could have that line, that straight line, breaking it off. I'm opening the room for questions since we're almost done.
I have a quick question. In terms of LinkedIn,
can everyone go also? I'm so sorry. Can everyone, hold on one second. I should make sure. Can everyone go on screen who feels comfortable going on screen? Okay. Yay. Hi, everybody. That's nice. Okay. If you feel comfortable, go on screen. It's only we went over 5 minutes. I'm sorry, everyone. I know you had lots of questions today. Okay. Tell me the question, Jillian. I'm sorry about that.
For LinkedIn, there's also the, I guess, posting and things of that sort. It's something I want to get into. Is there?
Yes. We're
Any
gonna talk
specific-
more about that.
Okay.
And we will get into it, but I'll say this.
Mhm.
Maybe this week, separately, what you'd like to do is find a piece of work if you're creative, maybe an ad that was done recently, maybe if you're in PR, maybe, you know, some sort of communications that was done, or look in Harvard Business Review or in Ad Age or Adweek or anything, and you could post an article or a piece of work that matters to you and then tag the people who worked on it, okay? Or who wrote the article, this whole thing. Have you guys been have you been seeing what's going on with what happens here right now lately? Yes? Is it not insane what's been going on? Hold on. This is me for you today. Let's see if it pops up. Oh, it's not working today. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Rebecca's like, what the hell's happening in class today? So post the article, tag the person that wrote the thing or crafted the thing or something, but say why it have an interesting point of view. Okay. Tag my name. You could tag Rebecca's name. You could tag branding. You can tag City College, whatever it is. Rebecca, is that all right? You're getting tagged. And just start being part. I love the question. Start being part of, you become a thought leader, right? So you could like a post, and then that just means you're part of the audience, right? I'm sorry, now the thing's going crazy. But you could also comment, and now you're part of the conversation. Or you could post, and now you're becoming somebody who will gradually become a thought leader, right? Because you have opinions. And so, for example, there's a gentleman by the name of Walter Gear, and he started, he's a very, very, very well-recognized advertising executive at VML, and he opened up his LinkedIn for women of color to take over and post. So he just reposted their stuff. And so I did it too. I just reposted whatever anyone wanted me to post on my page. I had 13,000 people. Okay, fine. So if you have something that you want me to post on my feed, I'll do that. It's interesting. When I changed jobs, I got 500 likes. When I posted the other day about having a job for people to look at, I got like 10. I can't say what's going to happen, but there were 2,000 views to that there might be 2,000 views, even if they clicked on it, but it will just be practice. This is all practice. This week is practice. Just have a good time with all this stuff. You're just getting to like figure out who was it earlier asked about like the Pesci test, and they said dancing. Was it, or who said that? Was Stella or who said? Oh, sorry. I couldn't even remember. I can't remember because you guys are never on screen. So I'm like, but if you think about the fact that you thought to say, okay, well, this is really work, but I'm passionate about dance. Okay, great. If you say that, and that's part of your story, and you're going to want to maybe go to apply for those jobs that are within the dance world, right? Or in the creative world. Or it helps you maybe just tell the story in your summary. That the way you do, like she likes spaghetti and meatballs, but she didn't tell me why, right? Like, what was it? I want to know why dance, and how does that incorporate or weave into your story? Think about your story as like a quilt, okay? And each section of the quilt has something that means something to you, okay? Any other questions? I know we went through LinkedIn fast. I promise you in your one-on-one time, I will give you a lot more, but the resume can plug into the LinkedIn, and then I can give you more LinkedIn strategies. Don't worry about it. We had a lot of questions today.
I have a
And
question.
yes, Sushi, go ahead.
So I'm an international student, and it's like a general, like broad question related to job search. And as challenging as the job market is, I really feel like it's even more challenging for international students. So like, do you have any like tips to how like stand out, or just like turn that into our strength, because I think we bring a lot to the table. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Are you saying you're an international student because you're not born here? Or are you saying you're an international student because you're not going to be working here? Or are you saying because you want a job here and you're going to need some assistance and sponsorship?
Right. The last one.
The last one. Okay. I think do some research on the company. You could ask the school also of the companies that they find that are most likely to sponsor. But I also,
Hillary,
yeah,
can I jump in for a second? Something
of
that's
course.
really important for international students to note is now that BIC is STEM designated, they have 3 years of OPT. So that means they don't have to be sponsored
Right.
for
Okay.
3 years. That's something that among recent grads who are international students should help you stand out, because any place that considers hiring you, that means they have a 3-year testing period. And that works both ways.
Can
So
they,
not all schools and not all degrees offer that.
when you're at a school, when you're at a job and you do a certain amount of years at a job, you eventually become eligible for a green card though. So do they, if they're at a job for 3 years, do they lose that eligibility because they're being sponsored through the school?
They're not being sponsored through the school. They just have a different kind of status.
Thank
It's
you.
in between like a student visa and a
Okay.
green card.
Got
Of
it.
course,
Okay.
it would make sense to go ahead and apply for your permanent resident card, you know, as soon as you
Yes.
can. But that should make you more attractive because they do not have to sponsor you.
And what you could say, if you're okay with having fun with it, what's your track? What track you in?
Media track.
Media. If you're okay to have a little fun, I don't know. Some people will have fun with it, some people don't, but like sometimes underneath the page, they might say like exactly that you don't need to sponsor me. Like how incredible, you do not need to sponsor me, or you do not, like I've seen some people do that are a little bit more, but it might be maybe they're a little more seasoned. They say the obvious because some people do see something, right? We're biased. I don't care if someone says they're not, I will admit to it right now that I think that Hillary Black was probably born in Queens, New York. But you are going to have 9 million people who are going to be biased if they see a name that doesn't look like John Smith. There's been many studies on it, and that's it. Okay. So I'm never going to, excuse my language, I'm never going to bullshit you. I'm never going to make you think that that's not happening. Okay. So my job is to help you either say it and feel comfortable saying something like that, being able to identify it so that people know that they don't need to, because they may assume that. So you could say in your summary something very succinct about the fact that about your experience when you meet someone. My experience at school, not only is it an amazing school, but they also have this specific way to set us up for years to not have to worry about this, right? So you don't have to have it funny. You could say like, what a privilege it is that I have this experience, right? I also think international students, whether they're from here or not from here, but come from different cultures, are adding I don't need to tell you, adding so much to the mix, right? You're adding so much to the mix. So I think that that's the other sweet spot, right? How are we diversifying the conversation in the room, especially in communications? Thinking about what you have to say and why that's important, and that they're going to have consumers that are from all over the world, possibly, right? I can't necessarily speak to two. I can only speak to this. So I really think that it's an added value, 100%. Okay. And in our one-on-one time, we'll talk about how we could do it in a way that makes you feel comfortable. Any other questions? You're welcome. Are we good?
I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
How do you feel about people, maybe I get, okay, fine, myself, using the word aspiring in like your LinkedIn headline for, say, an industry that you have no experience working in but would like to get into? You think it's like too corny?
No, I think, what makes you think it's corny?
I don't know.
Tell me, what makes you think it's corny? Let's go there for a minute. What are you worried about that they're gonna think?
I guess look down on me for just not really having not even maybe like 1 year of experience at minimum.
Do you think they're expecting you to have experience if you just graduated from a great program like this? No, they don't expect it. This is your saboteur telling you that you don't have enough experience and that you sound corny by saying aspiring because you don't have the experience that you think you should have. But A, you're not expected to have that experience right now. And I have no problem with someone saying aspiring because it makes me think that they're trying to figure out what they want and that they're going after it. So if aspiring for whatever reason is sitting with you not in a great way, right? Remember we talked earlier about this. Hold on, I'll do one little quick thing before we go. Tell me your track again. I never
Media.
remember. Media, okay. Okay. All right, here we go. You could use the word emerging. So instead of aspiring media, you could say emerging media professional, up and coming media professional. I don't love up and coming, but I don't think there's anything wrong with aspiring. It's something you're aspiring to do. What I like about emerging is because you are. I think of my leaders that I coach that are new in the business, they're emerging leaders, right? They're emerging, they're coming about. You just came out of this program. Recent grad, emerging media professional, like that's, and we'll work on it one-on-one. We'll get through that. I hope
Okay.
that was helpful. I should bring my kittens out right now. Jesus, like a cat fest. Any other question? I hope that was helpful, everyone.
That was helpful. Thank
Good.
you.
Okay, stop. Remember tonight, remember what we talked about, that intention of what you're walking in there for. Be yourself. Do not be concerned about what other people think. They are thinking about themselves. They are not thinking about anything else either. They're all walking in with their own stuff. Okay.
Okay.
They want to meet you. You are the future of the business. Do not forget that. Okay.
Yeah, Hillary, I want to echo what you're saying. The alumni are really looking forward to meeting all of you. They're coming there, of course, to celebrate the program, to celebrate Nancy, but they can't wait to meet you. And with any luck, you'll be working with them in Portfolio Bootcamp and in other ways. They are working where you want to work, and they want to help you get in the door where they are.
And
You
they
could-
look good when they bring you in.
Yes, you could not have a friendlier crowd than the people
Yeah.
you're going to be meeting tonight.
Yeah. All supportive. Everyone wants to be of service. And if somebody, one thing I want to say, if somebody falls a little bit flat for you, or you walk away and you're like, ugh, just remember some people are really uncomfortable and they are real introverts, worse than me. So some people would maybe think at a party that I'm really standoffish and that I'm not friendly just because I'm so uncomfortable at large gatherings and nobody would know that about me. So I go into a corner, I sit at a table by myself. I don't want to talk to anyone. Yet, once I start to feel better, then I'm able to do. It's almost like I need like another 5 hours of a session. So just know it's not you, okay? And that you're being of service to them by showing up tonight, okay? So
And if you want to meet anyone in particular, right? If you're like, oh, there's that person here and I wish I'd meet them, let me know and I will try to, arrange a connection. I'll shepherd you over to them and introduce you, okay?
I'll say hi. My son is asking if he can now do his saxophone lesson. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. He's all of 9. Have the best time tonight. Do not forget for a minute how much they want to get to know you. Okay, not 1 minute. All right, I can't wait to see you all next time. Please contact me and schedule some sessions. I'm here for you, okay? And you could also just do an on demand. If you need to email me and be like, Hill, I have a question. I have to put it in LinkedIn. Should I do this? We'll just hop on, even if it's 5 minutes. All right,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
your help.
Thanks, Hillary. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye, thanks.